Hello, and welcome to Abolish Criminology. Hey everyone, my name is Zach Pisik, your instructor for the quarter. Welcome to my home office. If you're wondering if I always dress up to work from home, the answer is yes. I also just like wearing this corduroy jacket. Corduroy means cloth of kings, which I learned from an English guy when I was studying abroad, which seemed appropriate somehow. What is new is the facial hair. Hair's starting to get long. This is my quarantine look. I'm actually not sure what I'm going to do about that if the lockdown lasts much longer. I started growing it out a couple months ago, the facial hair. This is the longest it's ever been. I was on a writing quarter. I didn't teach last quarter, so I just stayed home and wrote the whole time. So I was going for this like hermit look or whatever. And then I did a cross-country road trip, and I thought it would give me this like rugged look or whatever, traveler. And then I procrastinated going to see my barber when I got back. And then he was deemed a non-essential service. I almost texted him to tell him, like, hey, Sean, I agree you're not essential, but you're still important to me. Anyway, welcome to class. I know the online format isn't what everybody signed up for, but given the circumstances, I'm still excited. I think the stuff you're going to learn this quarter will change your thinking for sure, maybe your career, maybe your life, as it has mine. I am disappointed that I won't get to meet you all. I love teaching. I love getting the chance to interact with you all. That's a real loss. But at the same time, I think the online format will give us the ability to tap into resources that we wouldn't be able to if we were spending a lot of time in a lecture hall. For example, through the magic of YouTube, you'll be able to hear from scholars with diverse backgrounds and teaching styles talking about their own areas of expertise, rather than you having to hear it all from me secondhand. The online format also will provide you with opportunities to learn in the diverse array of learning styles that you all have. And there will be barriers, like trying to find a quiet place to do the work. But there's also going to be benefits, like being able to do the work at your own pace, whenever, wherever you want. There will inevitably be glitches making such a big transition, but we have more support at UC Davis than pretty much anyone else in the country has, as they're all putting their work online. So I feel very privileged about that. As we go, these videos will get less choppy, I hope. This is the first time I've ever made YouTube videos or online videos, and honestly, I'm camera shy. Incorporating existing online educational resources into the course also allowed me to focus on my own areas of interest and expertise, and on crafting lessons that'll help walk you through the process of arriving at the course learning objectives. I've done my best to keep everything simple, straightforward, and we're going to be here throughout the quarter to support you and to support your learning. So reach out to me and Angelita anytime you need help or anytime you just want to connect. An implication of my research should be stated up front, if only to explain the Abolish part of the course title. I don't think criminology as a discipline should exist. If you have taken a sociology class before, and even if you haven't, you've probably heard about social constructs. So the crime and criminals are social constructs. That means their definition, what is a crime, who is a criminal, that changes wildly over time and place. Things like marijuana and alcohol, harboring a Jewish person, a runaway slave, crossing borders without government approval, homosexuality, being a Protestant, or anything but a Protestant, depending on time and place, have all been considered crimes, and they've all not been considered crimes too. Some of them have gone back and forth between being crimes and not crimes. So what sense does it make to have a field dedicated to the study of crime? So I agree with a growing number of other scholars that when everything from using a whites-only drinking fountain to prostitution, truancy, murder, when everything's lumped together under the category of crime, the word loses its meaning and our field loses its value. Don't get me wrong, all of our lives have been affected fundamentally by crime, but the types of crimes that have affected most of us the most are not the types of crimes committed by the people filling our prisons. There's 2.2 million people in prison. Almost all of them are poor. That's not a coincidence. In fact, things like political corruption, white-collar crimes, crimes against the environment, that stuff harms us all, and it threatens our livelihoods, it threatens future generations, it threatens our ability to establish financial stability. Yet those types of crimes go on mostly uninvestigated, usually unprosecuted. The last time our country was in a recession, it was the result of outright crimes. Yet nobody went to prison, despite millions of Americans losing their life savings, their chance at sending their kids to college without having to mortgage their house. Millions of Americans lost that, and yet no one went to prison. And in fact, investigation of white-collar crime is at an all-time low today, 10 years after that happened, as we head into what is likely another recession. How did a criminal justice system that was established for and by the people come to function in a way that harms most Americans? Understanding what crime is and who criminals are at a fundamental level, I think, will help you answer that question and help us understand why we are where we're at with our current criminal justice system. We'll start the course by going back to the Enlightenment, when criminology was invented to try to understand where things went wrong. And then we're going to end the course talking about genocide, state crimes, atrocity, white-collar crimes, political corruption, and then complicity, which is what I think most of us are most in danger of being guilty of. In between, we'll talk through the history of sociological criminology. We'll critically analyze the data, theories, and methods that sociologists use to study crime. We will review some of the more and less prominent theories that sociologists draw from in understanding crime today. And we'll discuss where we're at in terms of the crime problem that threatens every society. I believe that intellectual and political diversity contributes to constructive learning environments, and it also, more broadly, it strengthens democracy, it advances equality, and it guards against totalitarianism. Totalitarianism thrives on us versus them thinking. If you're not one of us, you're one of them, and they are bad. And if we get power, we can kill them. So having differences of opinion, to me, is a good thing. I would expect you to have a different political opinion. You've had different life experiences. So in this class, you're not graded on whether you agree with me or agree with us. You're graded on how well you demonstrate that you understand the course learning material as demonstrated by your written work, the work you submit to us, and which should reflect your knowledge of the course learning objectives. Support your arguments with evidence, but take a position. Be biased. It'll help you care more about the material. And when you care about the material, we'll figure a lot of these problems out. Okay, so that's the class. A little bit about me. It always surprises me how often UC Davis students don't even know their professor's name, let alone anything about him. Who is teaching you, dictating right and wrong answers, correct answers? That's important, and you should pay attention to it, at least in my humble opinion. I earned my master's degree in sociology here at UC Davis, and I'm finishing up my doctorate now. My research focuses on two broad areas, crime and health. You can learn more about my research and stuff on my UC Davis profile if you're interested. I earned a graduate certificate in addiction studies and public health at the University of Minnesota. I got a bachelor's in communication studies at a small liberal arts university in the Midwest. Before that, I got an associate's degree at a community college, which was an incredible experience. I had great professors, helped set me on a path to academia. I worked in construction from 2006 to 2011, all the way through college, and that was also all the way through that recession. And I had a good job, and that kept me working the entire time. But going through that and seeing such a national catastrophe, it really shaped the way I thought about things. And one way or another, I think you're probably going to be able to relate to that. After college, I started a business doing search engine optimization, web content writing, social media management stuff. And I also went and worked in nonprofit for a couple years, mostly working with people who were impacted by the justice system, who were struggling with addiction, that kind of stuff. And that's really where my two interests, crime and health, crystallized and became my focus areas. My older sister was the first person in our family to graduate from college, and she went on to become a police officer, now probation officer. I was the second person in our family to graduate, but only after I spent basically all my teenage years being arrested under the control of the criminal justice system, one form or another. So I've been doing this work for over a decade now, like formally, research, working in the field. But as you can imagine, I've been thinking pretty deeply about these issues for most of my life. I have had the gift of incredible teachers and mentors. I've had plenty of time to read and write now. I've been in graduate school here at UC Davis for 7 years, conducting research that I think is going to help fundamentally change the way people think about crime and punishment, and about inequality and advancement, and about living and dying in America. And I'm really thankful for the chance to share some of my research with you and talk about what I learned. This class is for you, and we're going to be doing everything we can to support you in your learning throughout the quarter. I care a lot about the material. I hope you learn it. If you're struggling at all, please reach out. I know this quarter in general is going to be crazy. I know a lot of you're probably going to like this format more. I think I would have preferred this format. But if you are struggling, reach out. Like I pretty much put my research on cruise control so I can have as much capacity to focus on this class as I can throughout the quarter. And Jalita's here. So whether it's to ask questions, whether it's to give us feedback on how we're doing, share your thoughts about something, or just to connect, reach out. Until then, you should start by going into the modules, read the welcome and the syllabus, then peruse all the other information that's under introduction, information, and resources, and then move on to Unit 1 and Week 1. The workload for the first week is relatively light, but there is work due on Sunday, April 5th at midnight, so make sure you look at that. Also, like the work in this quarter, I made it so you don't have to be anywhere at any certain time. You do have a week to complete all the work for this class, but get started early. I split it into 2 lessons so that to break it up some, but it's going to take hours to get through all the material, reading, videos, the quizzes you have to do, the learning activities. So make sure you get started on it early every week. Plan out a schedule so that you get into it, so that you can get any questions you have answered before the weekend, before it's due. One other thing you should know is I have a support animal. That's Hershey soda, bulldog in a beanbag. She'll be here throughout the quarter.